Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today we're going to be starting off the month of April reading self-published fantasy books for Team Enya. So I'm really excited for that. So I hope you stay tuned and get to see all the books I want. But I have four I'd like to talk about, four that I would really like to get to this month. One of them being The Beast Hunters, the other one being The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Braids, Along the Razor's Edge, which I have an audiobook for, and last but not least, The Sword of Kaigen. These four I really want to get to. They're all self-published indie fantasy, and I'm really excited to get to them. So let's just jump right into it. We don't need to say more, and yeah, let's get to our first book. Happy day one of all the readathons, Realmathon, Magical Readathon, and Old School April. I was really busy today. I kind of slept in, and then the kids, we took the kids to an Easter egg hunt, and then I had to come home, eat lunch real quick, and then I had to go with my grandma to Michael's, which is about 30 minutes away. And we were coming home and it was really windy and rainy and stormy, so that was a thing. Then I came home and got a few things done, and then I hopped on to, I think Kaylee was doing sprints today from Kaylee's books, and I started reading The Beast Hunters by Christer Lende. I hope I'm saying that right. I'll put a picture here. I love this book. So we're following Ara, and at the beginning of the book, it's kind of like a prologue, I guess, but you kind of see Ara in her family life and the environment that she's been raised in, and you see that her family is pretty rough. She lives in, what should she call them, the rundowns or whatever. I'm so sorry if you can hear the TV on in my daughter's room. We just had power gone for an hour, so anyway, you don't care about that. But anyway, we see that her life is pretty crappy. This is not a spoiler, but her father's pretty abusive to her, and her mom just kind of doesn't care half the time, and things have been kind of going on around their house, and he's been blaming it on her, and she's like, it's not me, but he doesn't care, he doesn't believe her, so he sends her out to go take a bath because he thinks this weird smell is coming from her. And on her way back, she hears screams coming from her house, and when she comes in, she sees this big beast on top of her father, and her mother's nowhere to be found, so she tries to help her father, and this beast ends up, hurting him pretty badly. And in the process of her trying to help her dad, when she injures the beast and it runs off, she sees her mother essentially dead. I will say that this book does include some gory parts, so if you're not into that, I mean, they didn't bother me, they weren't too bad, but if it does bother you, then I probably wouldn't read this book. There's not too many of them, but there is enough that could hinder your reading enjoyment of this. But essentially, after the shock of seeing her mother dead, the beast comes back and kills her father, and then it comes after her. But before it can get to her, these two men arrive, and they end up saving her, and they are known as Beast Hunters. And once they see that she is alive, they take her under their wing, and they begin traveling to a new town where they will eventually find a mystery going on. And, Ara is just so completely enamored with these two guys and like what they do as beast hunters that she kind of becomes an apprentice, I guess, of sorts for them, and as they solve this mystery of what's going on in this town. I love this book. The writing took me a little bit to get into. It felt a little simplistic and at times a little choppy, but this is kind of reading like a YA, and it didn't bother me that much. At the beginning it kind of did, but once I got to know the characters and got sucked in, I was just hooked. It has found family trope. It's got like a murder mystery, I guess, and it's just got so many secrets and fun things revolving around the different beasts in this world. I absolutely love this. This was so good and fun, and I'm so happy that I read it. I'm sorry I didn't do an update for this book sooner, but once I started it and got into it, I just couldn't stop, and we also lost power, so I didn't have any lights until now. So I did finish it all in one night, and I'm super happy. It's not a long book either, and there are 3 books in the series, and I just can't wait to get to the next ones. A part of me just wants to jump right into them and read the next 2 because they are out on Kindle Unlimited. I owned the first one, so it wasn't a big deal, and I can read the second and third one. But a part of me is like, I have a schedule I want to keep. I have a list of books that I want to keep going for the month, and I'm like, I did not factor in a lot of these books or series. I did not factor in that I could potentially love some of these books and want to continue on with the series. Now I'm stuck with a dilemma, because on the 30th I started The Whispering Dead by Darcy Coates, and then I only got like 40-something% of the way in, and then on the 31st I finished it doing sprints for when Realmathon started, and I was able to count that one towards my Realmathon reading, so that was great. But it was the first book in a series, and I'm like, wow, it was really good. But I continued on with this book, and now I'm like, wow, this is really good too. So I'm gonna have all these series started, and I don't want to forget anything about them, so I don't know what to do. So I may or may not throughout this month add in some extra books. That just might be what happens, depending on my mood. But I am so excited to have read this book. It is a fantasy, self-published book. It also could be a hybrid genre too, because it does have a lot of mystery in it. So I really enjoyed that part too. So I'm going to count it as a fantasy and a hybrid and a indie published, because that's what it is. I have to pull out my handy dandy reading journal here so I can look and see what it would count for prompt wise. Now I'll probably go through this and maybe update you guys at the end of the vlog what these count for, but it was 200-something pages, so it's going to be 10 points for that. And because it was a fantasy, hybrid, and indie, there's 30 points right there. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use it to attack or defend. I used The Whispering Dead to attack, and I used it to attack Ilma. So the prompts I used for it were TBR vet, an isolated setting, title is a movement, because whispering. In an isolating setting, it takes place in this small town that's like in the middle of nowhere. A dysfunctional family, because the character kind of finds her own like found family in this town, and a word related to another realm, so the Whispering Dead, so like Sanctum, and then the page count was 10 plus for that, so it was 22 points for Ilma, and then the 10 bonus points for the pages. So I got 22 attack points on Ilma, and then 10 points for my team. And then I'm not sure what the Beast Hunters is going to be. Although this vlog is not about Whispering Dead. I wanted to include it somewhere so that I could remember and let you guys know that I read this book. So far, my first book for reading self-published fantasy books is going really well. I absolutely love The Beast Hunters. I think that it's an underrated book. I don't hear about it. I think I heard about it from Dom, from Domnish Books. But other than that, I haven't heard anything else about it. And it was just so good. It was such a fun read. And I wish more people would read this so badly. So I guess I will check back in with you guys maybe tomorrow when I figured out whether I'm going to be using it as attack or defense and what all the points are going to round up to be. But so far, my reading is going really well for April. Hopefully I don't jinx myself. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm not sure when my next book is going to be. It might be like one of the shorter books for Old School April, but that'll be included in a different vlog, so you won't see that until that vlog comes out. So my next self-published book might be The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Braids. I think I'm leaning more towards that one right now, or Along Louisa Says, because I have the audiobook. I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, that was my update, and I will see you guys in the next clip. Okay, so it's the next day. My thoughts have come a little bit more together, and I just want to say that I really did enjoy The Beast Hunters. I'm going to tell you like what all worked for Realmathon, and I also wanted to say that if you like Supernatural, The Witcher, or Sherlock Holmes, this book kind of reminds me a lot of those three things, like certain specific things. I just love this. It was so good, and I can't get over it, but I did give it 5 stars. Anyway, so this counted for I'm using this to defend Enya, and this one counted as a YA or middle grade. I would say more YA, maybe new adult, but YA I'm pretty sure. An underrated book because this book only has like 156 ratings, which is pretty underrated to me. More people definitely need to read this series. It has some mental health rep in regards to kind of like PTSD, I want to say, because of what Ara has gone through. I don't really want to go in too much because I don't want to spoil it, but also some of the other characters kind of have their own things going on. It's not like super throughout the whole thing, but it is prominent like on certain scenes, so I'm counting it. You can't stop me. It's also a new to you author because it is new to me. I've never read from this author before, but you can bet I'm going to be reading more from this author when I finally get to the next 2 books in the series. It also has a source of light on the cover. There are like flecks of like embers or whatever on the cover, so definitely a source of light. This was a fantasy. I am counting it as a hybrid because it does have a mystery throughout the good portion of the book, so I'm counting that, and it is an indie book. So I got all those points, and the page count was 201 to 400 pages, so that's 10 points. So the YA middle grade is 3 points, underrated book 3 points, mental health rep 4 points, new to you author 5 points, source of light 6 points, fantasy, hybrid, and indie each have 10 points with a total of 30 there. And then the page count got me also 10 points with a total of 61 points for Enya. And it was also a 5-star read, and it was one I've been really wanting to get to, and you know, it helps that it was self-pubbed indie fantasy, and I just loved it. I loved it so much. This was definitely a great start off to this reading vlog with self-pub fantasy. So yeah, now I think I'm going to be starting The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Braids, so I'm really excited to get to that one. And this is by Michael McClung. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I don't really know much about this. I know it was an SPFBO winner, and I'm just hyped to read this. I can't wait to get to it. I hope it's as good as Beast Hunters and that I love it, and it's another new 5-star because I just want to start this month off right, and I want it to go good the entire month. So I'm going to be getting into that. I'm going to be jumping on Lexi from Books with Lexi's sprints that she's doing, and hopefully I can get some more read. Okay, so we're trying a different view to kind of keep things mixed up. But anyway, I wanted to let you guys know that I did get 52% into The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Braids last night. I am enjoying it. I wouldn't say I'm enjoying it as much as I was The Beast Hunters, but essentially we're following Amra Thetis. I think that's how you pronounce the name. I'm not sure. Anyway, so the book starts off with Amra being awoken. I don't know if it's in the middle of the night or whatever, but it's by a thief friend that she knows, Corbin, and he kind of comes to her. He's all bedraggled, and he's just asking for a place to hang out for a little bit. And so she invites him in, and essentially he tells her what he's gotten into. He is a thief, so he has a contract. Well, the contract people have kind of like double-crossed him a little bit. He was supposed to steal all these statues, and on his way to meet them for like the money and whatever, he had only brought one, but when he got there no one was there. But when he came back, the rest of the statues were stolen, and so now he has this one and they really want it. And so he's trying to set up a meeting where, you know, they're gonna have to pay more now since they kind of double crossed him. And so he came to Amra because he really wants her to guard this thing, because he knows there's something special about it, but he doesn't want to be double crossed again. So he gives it to her, and he says, if I'm not back by midnight, I'm assuming the next day, I don't know what time it is, I can't remember, but it's the next day, the next night. If he's not back to her by midnight, then she can do whatever she wants with it. He told her that if he comes back, you know, he'd give her 100 of these golden marks for it, which is quite a bit of money in this world, I think. And so she agrees to hold on to this item. It's like a toad statue and it's gold or whatever, and she hides it for him, and come midnight the next night he doesn't show up. And this isn't spoilers, this is pretty much, you learn everything at the very beginning. So she decides to go to his house. He also wanted her to take his dog if anything happened to him. And when she shows up, she hears his dog howling, and she gets there and she finds him a bloody dead mess on the ground with his dog protecting him. And everything kind of takes off from there. You find out that, you know, he was in something deep. And so now she's, you know, I wouldn't say she's really upset, but like she's kind of like, what the hell happened? Like, and the police or constables, whatever, they're suspicious of her. And so she's kind of like, I need to find this person because this isn't okay. Like, you know, I feel like she's very frustrated and she kind of wants this revenge, which obviously, you know, someone kills your friend. So after she finds out he's dead and the constables are kind of wary of her, she kind of gets moving on trying to figure out what this Gould thing is, who would want to kill him, and like why and what for, and all this other stuff. And she ends up finding herself in more and more trouble, and it's just like a snowball effect. But not only that, I will say my one complaint with her is that, you know, she knows she's in trouble, but she keeps going to all these people she cares about, and it's almost like bringing this trouble to them too. And she doesn't really like, I don't want to say she doesn't care, but it's like she doesn't really think about it too much, and it's like, but I understand because she doesn't have anyone else. I don't know. That just bothered me a little bit. The writing's good. There's nothing really wrong with the writing. I will say that I feel like it's kind of, I don't want to say a choppy plot, but I feel like we're moving from one thing to the next, but it is done better than I think Beast Hunters was doing things. Like, it's a little more smoother transitioning into these things. The setting was good. The settings kind of remind me of like what you would consider the slums and like all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I'm enjoying it, but there's just something about it that I'm just not enjoying it as much as I was the Beast Hunters. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to finish it today, and hopefully I enjoy it enough. Right now, I think it's sitting around like 4 stars maybe, so not too bad, but I would have liked another 5 stars, but that's okay. 4 stars is still good. So I'm hoping that when I finish it, I have different thoughts and that maybe it'll be a 5-star by the end, but who knows? So I will check in with you guys later. Okay, so I lied. It's not the same day check-in. It is the next day. It is now Tuesday, April 4th. And I'm happy to say that this morning during Becca from Becca and the Books of Sprints, I did finish The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Braids by Michael McClung. I have my journal here. I thought I'd go over everything it worked for first, and then I'll talk about my thoughts about the ending. So I decided to go for Defending Enya. So it counted as an ebook, an underrated book. In my opinion, it's underrated because I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, and I've only heard about it through the SPFBO kind of stuff, so I'm counting it as underrated. A new to you author, which I've never read from this author before, and I was able to spell my name on the book. It's also a fantasy, and it's an indie, and the page count was between 201 and 400 pages. Sorry if you can hear the dogs. They're being awfully loud. I came out here to say it was so quiet, and now they're being loud. Shh. Anyway, so I did give this book 4 stars in the end. I think I had said that it was feeling like a 3 or 4 stars yesterday. I really did enjoy the ending. I thought it picked up quite a bit towards like the second half of the book, so that really helped with my reading. Last night I did read roughly like 7 chapters before I went to bed, and then this morning I finished it off. I really started to care for the character Amra more, and I really like the side character of, I think it's Holgren. He's a mage, and he kind of helps her, and I love them together. Like, such a dynamic duo. I don't think they're like lovers. I think they're just friends, but I really enjoyed that aspect, and I really enjoyed how fast-paced it was through the second half, and the characters kind of grew on me more. So there were some really good plot twists, I think, at the end. There was one that kind of felt like all of that for that, you know, but like other than that, it was really interesting. And I almost wish like there would have been more to the plot twist coming undone than like the quick things that pretty much took care of things or whatever. And I wish I got more from the story, but I do know that this continues. This is a 5-book series. I believe it's just 5 books. So it is another series that I will be continuing on with. I am frustrated with myself because when I was picking all these books, I didn't think about them being all the first books in a series, so that if I like them and enjoy them, that I knew I was going to want to continue on. So now I'm stuck with a bunch of new series so far, because I did read The Whispering Dead the last day of March, and that is the start to a trilogy, which I really enjoyed and I really want to continue. And then The Beast Hunters I really enjoyed and really want to continue. And now The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Braids I really liked and really want to continue. So I'm going to have all these started series, and hopefully I get to them sooner rather than later, but I have a schedule to keep. I have a schedule of books that I want to be reading for this readathon at certain points, like certain times during weeks and stuff, because I have videos planned and I don't want to go off script, but it's getting so hard because I have all these series that I'm really enjoying and I really want to continue. So that's kind of a bummer, but it means that I'm finding a lot of new books that I really am liking and I'm happy about it. So you know what, it's whatever. At least I'll have stuff to go to when this is all done. So the next book I think I'm going to be reading is Along the Razor's Edge by Rob J. Hayes, I think it is. And I have this as an audiobook and an ebook, so I'm going to be listening and trying to follow along. I have some things I need to do today. I need to fill up a bunch of Easter eggs for our Easter egg hunt with the kids on Sunday, so I could listen to it while I do that. I think with the speed I'm listening to, it's only like 4.5 hours, so I could potentially get it done today. But I don't know. This is another series, and I've heard really good things about this series, so I'm almost like 95% sure that I'm gonna like this and want to continue. So I'm already just coming to terms with that. But thankfully, the last book, The Sword of Kaigen, is a standalone, so I don't have to worry about that one. So yeah, but anyway, I just wanted to check in with you guys and let you know that I finished another book. And oh, I also want to say that it got me 45 points for Enya. So yeah, I will hopefully be having some lunch and then starting the audiobook. And maybe I'll finish today, maybe I won't. You'll either see me later today or you won't. So talk to you later. Okay, so as promised, I did come back later. I will say that I did start Along the Razor's Edge by Rob J. Hayes. I got 44% of the way into it. Then I got a really bad headache, so I took a nap for like 2 hours, had some dinner, and read some more. Actually, I'm listening to it and reading it, so I'm following along or whatever. But I am now 74% of the way in. I did not update you guys earlier because, like I said, I got a headache, and I was just so invested in the story. So we're following Eskana or Eskar. Eska. Her name's Eska. That's what people are calling her. So we're following her, and she's down the pit. She's kind of a prisoner down there after a war that her side lost, and no one gets out of the pit. They spend their times digging away, and no one really knows for what or why. All that they know is that the pit is hell, and no one really gets out, and if they do, they're dead or whatever. So it's a very bleak place, but I think Rob J. Hayes does a good job of like describing the place and like how miserable it is to be down there. And Eska, she is definitely a badass, I will say, but she's a badass with anger issues, and I feel like at some point all of us can relate to that. She's very quick to come to decisions without thinking of things sometimes, although when she does think of things, you know, it ends up working in her favor. And I don't know, I'm really enjoying Eska as a character. She is flawed, and I feel like that's important in characters because we don't always see a lot of flawed characters, but in fantasy I feel like we get that more. So Eska starts off down there. She's down there with her friend Yosef, and they're kind of both in the same boat, and you find out like their past a little bit throughout the story as we're going along, and you also find out about the magic of this world. So this magic of the world, the things are called sources, and I'm picturing them as like little stones, I guess, and you have to swallow them, and you have to see if you're compatible with them. So you kind of get to see when she's at this school training and trying to figure out what sources are compatible with her. The way that is done is so well done, and it's so good, and I don't think I've ever read anything with this kind of like magic in it before, so that's really intriguing to me. I love getting to learn about the different types of these sources and the ones that Eska can control or wield or whatever you want to call it. And it's just so interesting in the way that like I don't even want to get into it because it's so good and I don't want to spoil anything, but essentially, the magic is really cool and unique, and I absolutely love it. So going back to Yosef, I will say him and Eska have a very interesting relationship, but Eska also manages to make some more friends down there, and she even managed to make a name for herself. And, you know, the whole time throughout the story, the whole point is to escape the pit, and you know that it eventually happens because this is set in like a past tense thing, so you know that Eska has already escaped, but you don't know what happened. And like the author gives you little tidbits throughout about things like that have happened, but you don't know how they've happened and you don't know who they happen to. So you know that she gets to leave the pit with some friends, but some friends die. So you're like, okay, who got out and who didn't? And it's just so interesting to see this aspect of, okay, she's telling this story after all these events have happened, but you're still left wondering, how did it happen and what is going to happen? And it does take away the portion of it that you would be like, oh my god, are they gonna get out? Are they gonna get out? And I feel like it's still kind of there because you don't know who else is gonna get out. You know, our main character is, and some people are gonna get out, but you just don't know who. So right now this book is sitting at, I think, like a 4-star for me. There are only like a couple of things that bothered me, but like I just can't really pinpoint them for you, and some of them are a little bit spoilery, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I am really enjoying this book, and I only have like 26% left of it, and I'm just so interested to see, because the part I'm at now, it's getting good, and I don't know, I am really enjoying this book. And the magic is just so interesting to me, and I love that part. And I also love Eska because she's just a badass with anger issues. Okay, so this is just going to be a quick check-in. I did finish Along the Razor's Edge. Really enjoyed it. The ending and the feeling of betrayal, just like, you could just feel that. And oh god, it was just so good. I did give it 4 stars. So it counted for an ebook, underrated book, new to you author. It was a host fave. It was Cassidy's. It was a fantasy and it was indie, and the page count was between 201 and 400 pages, so I got 10 points for that. So I have a total of 45 plus points for Enya, so that was nice. It's gonna be a hot minute before I start the Sword of Kaigen, because I plan on reading another book for Old School April next to kind of just split up the amount of fantasy I'm reading. So I'm going to read a short, it's like a novella, I guess. It's Cirque Berserk, so I'm going to be reading that next. So when I come back, I will have started the Sword of Kaigen, and I will let you guys know how it's going. Okay, so I know what you guys are thinking. What happened to your hair? Okay, so I feel like my room light is like giving it some harshness, but what happened was my roots were coming in, the color was kind of washing out because it was like a black blue, and then underneath I had purple, and so I decided I wanted to try red because I've had red before, and my hair does naturally get red throughout it from my Irish heritage. And when I was younger, my grandma never wanted to dye my hair any different colors, so I've just been exploring. And well, I got the dye and we did my roots first, and that probably wasn't the best place to start. We're figuring that out now, but it dyed my roots way lighter than the rest of my hair. The rest of my hair, I don't know if you can tell a little bit. You can't really tell in this light, but this hair is definitely burgundy, and it sucks because you really can't, maybe you can see a tint of it, because this was lighter, it's also different, so it's just, I don't know, my hair's a work in progress. I don't think it looks too bad. I think it actually looks kind of neat, because if you go like that, then you see these cool roots coming out. I don't know. I'm messing with it. This is only day 2 with it. I did it yesterday, so I mean, if you look at it like that, I mean, it kind of looks bad. It looks like my hair's growing out, but it looks like my hair's growing out this color. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's too bad, honestly. But you know what? Whatever. Let's just get right into this update. Okay, so I'm doing my last check-in for this vlog. I decided not to read a 4th book for this vlog. I think 3 is a perfect number. I was gonna read The Sword of Kaigen, but I decided not to. And that was because I feel like I'm gonna need to like really pay attention to it. And right now I've just been like rushing through books to get more books done. Although the past few days I haven't been reading that much, but we'll get into that in a different video. Anyway, so I'm just gonna leave it here at 3 books. So I read The Beast Hunters by Christopher Lende. I'm so sorry. Anyway, 5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed this book. It was so fun. I really enjoyed the characters, and the monsters of this world were so unique, and I just really enjoyed it. It was just so much fun, and it can read as like a YA new adult into adult, so I guess this would be something really nice to like dip your toes in if you wanted to get into a more adult higher fantasy. But there was some like gore in here a little bit and things that happen like death and stuff, so I guess obviously keep that in mind. But I absolutely love this book. I am actually currently reading the second book in this one, and I'm already really enjoying it. It continues and picks up from where we left off in the first book, so really excited about it. And then I read The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Braids by Michael McClung, I think it is. Enjoyed that one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's been a couple weeks since I've read these books, so I can't really like remember all my thoughts for it, but I do know I really enjoyed it. I feel like it took a hot minute for it to kind of kick off, but once it did, it kept going and going and going, and our main character was always like in a situation that she really needed to find a way to get out of. So I really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the characters, the side characters, like the friendship and stuff. I really enjoyed that. And the world building was also really interesting, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen next with these characters. But I definitely think I will continue on, but I'm not sure when, so I guess I'll just have to wait and see when I am in the mood to read this one again. I might have to reread it and then move on, because I've read so many books since then. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, and then lastly, I read Along the Razor's Edge by Rob J. Hayes. Really enjoyed it. It was a darker fantasy, and we're following Eska, if I remember correctly, and she is a badass woman with anger issues, and I feel like that perfectly sums up who this girl is. And I really enjoyed reading from her character, because not only, you know, is she this strong woman, but she makes mistakes and she is very impatient, so she just kind of lets her feelings decide how she's going to react to things. But I feel like the further on we got, the more I feel like she kind of became aware of that a little bit. And there are just some really sad things that kind of happened at the end, I feel like, especially to one of the side characters. And so, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I would really like to carry on with this one. Again, I might need to reread this one before I go into the other ones, but that's okay. I had a really good time reading it the first time, so I can't imagine that I wouldn't enjoy it the second time. So I am happy to say that these 3 self-published fantasy novels were a hit. It was the perfect start to my month of readathons, and I don't know, I'm just really happy that I finally got to these books, because they've been kind of on my radar recently and I've just wanted to get to them, but I think I hyped them up so much that I'm just too afraid to read them, because I don't want them to be bad, because I have them like so high up in my head. So I'm just really happy that I enjoyed them, and I think I'm really surprised at how much I really enjoyed Beast Hunters. Like, I loved it. It was so fun and different, and it was just like such a nice adventure, and just with these 3 characters, like a little found family. I absolutely loved it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you check out some of these books if you haven't read them, especially The Beast Hunters. If I had to only recommend one of these books, I would definitely say The Beast Hunters. So good, so underrated, and I wish more people would read this series so that I could listen to people talk about it and share the love that I also feel for it. So that was everything. I hope you liked this video. Like it down below if you did. Comment letting me know which of these books you think you'd be interested in. And subscribe if you want to. I'd greatly appreciate it. And until my next video, I will see you guys again soon. Bye!